deep-rooted history of racial tension in the state of Oregon.
The state was run by the Klan. The city of Portland had a deep Klan presence in the 1920s. They even marched in the Rose Parade. And so they were part of the fabric of the city.
Randy Blazak, the chair of the Coalition Against Hate Crime, says that Oregon's history at its core was founded on these types of principles, which is why he says Oregon is such a white state even to this day. The state passed a law in the 1800s that prevented free people of color from entering Oregon, and it wasn't repealed until 1926. Blazak says the state has been faced with changing demographics and a wave of hate groups.
In the 1980s, when we had a wave of skinhead violence, the city was finally kind of pushed to actually do something about white supremacist activism. Instead of sort of mildly supporting it, it had to kind of get out in front on the other side.
But a resolution the Portland City Council is set to hear next week would take a loud and clear stance condemning white supremacy and alt-right groups.
We have a moral obligation to lead on this issue.
Mayor Ted Wheeler says in a time where there's a significant increase in hate crimes, it's time for the city of Portland to step up.
People in the community expect us to have a strong voice. They expect us to help protect them at a time when white supremacists and white nationalists feel empowered to speak up against people of color, against people of different religious backgrounds, of people who are frankly not like them. There are a number of groups, and I'll defer to the FBI to specifically name groups, but you certainly see manifestations of that in the Proud Boys and other groups.
Do you think Portland is blind to racism?
Absolutely. I think Portland thinks that it's very progressive and we're a hipster paradise, but in reality, the systems that we have, if you look all across the board at every social determinant of health, whether it's education, home ownership, business ownership, no matter what you look at, what you find are people of color are at the very bottom of those measures.
Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, the first African-American woman to serve on the Portland City Council, says this is crucial that Portland be vocal on these issues.
It's really getting to the point whereas I believe as a city, as a state, we have to be very clear that we will not tolerate hate and hatred against anybody.
And as demographics change across the country, experts like Blazak say that Portland is setting the stage for the future.
We're really at this moment of change, and Portland is kind of the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the country.
All right, everyone. Again, my name is Pilar Arias. Happy that you are here. We are doing a top story segment here on News Now, which is a part of Fox10Phoenix.com. Currently 757 of you watching. It's like we're on a familiar aircraft or something, right? All right, who's going to watch the Super Bowl on Sunday, and who are you picking, the Los Angeles Rams or the New England Patriots? Feel free to cast your vote on the YouTube chat. I do watch it. I do chat along with you all every day. A lot of people ask, hey, is that really Pilar? The answer is yes, it's really me, and oftentimes I will have my microphone on, and you'll be able to hear me typing away with all of you, so especially when I have to make lower thirds quickly when we have breaking news situations. So the reason I'm asking you if you're going to watch on Sunday and who you are rooting for is because it turns out celebrities are picking who they think is going to win it all and take home, I believe it's the Lombardi Trophy, right? I might know sports just a little bit.
It's East Coast versus West Coast as the Los Angeles Rams take on the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 53. And some famous Hollywood faces are divided.
My heart is with the Rams. My head, I worry. They've been there so many times.
I'm a Boston fan. I'm sorry if that bothers anyone. Sorry.
Crazy enough, I got no dog in the fight, man. I'm just going to watch a good performance and see what happens.
Okay, the Rams, but the Pats are going to win. I mean, Belichick's going to dominate.
I'm from San Francisco, so of course I hate Los Angeles.
The Rams. I'd like to see the Rams win. Although if the Patriots win too, it'd be kind of fun because you're like, they're just that good.
Well, my team is Seahawks because I know Pete Carroll when my son went to USC.
I heard the Cowboys. Are they? Oh, I don't know.
Taraji P. Henson didn't reveal which team she's rooting for.
My fiance is ex-NFL. He went to the Super Bowl with the Colts and got the ring. Yay. So, of course, you know football is going to be on in the house.
But her What Men Want co-star Tracy Morgan had no problem mentioning he may be in Pat's owner's Robert Kraft's suite at game time.
He's good friends with me. As a matter of fact, Robert Kraft, yo, Lucas, Robert Kraft called yesterday, so we're good friends.
In Hollywood, Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Michelle, thanks so much for that report there. I loved all the celebrities that mentioned teams that aren't even in the game. Everybody's like, I'm from San Francisco, I root for San Fran, and then you heard are the Cowboys in it? Nope, you've got the Patriots and the Rams. A lot of people asking me who I'm rooting for or which team that is. Take a guess. You never know. No, honestly, though, really, I'm just hoping for a good game, and I'm hoping to be able to enjoy the time spent with friends and family, just all gathered together, eating some good food. That's what I'm looking forward to, and it's a busy weekend here in Phoenix this weekend, too, the Waste Management Phoenix Open. A lot of people going to be out there. Be safe if you are, and just make smart choices. We got cabs, we've got ride-sharing options, plenty of ways to get to and from, free shuttles even if you can't find parking. Lots of different things. All right, so this next top story, I'm going to take you back out to Milwaukee now just to show you how cold it is. Even though Mike showed you a lot from 10 a.m. to noon, this live picture, -4 degrees in Milwaukee. Thanks, but no thanks. I prefer my sunshine here in the Valley of the Sun. And yes, I have to do it. When I say I prefer sunshine, I have to show you the sunshine. Take a look at that. Let's compare and contrast, shall we? I think I did this yesterday, and I was asking, hey, would you rather be in Chicago or would you rather be in Phoenix? So now this edition, would you rather be in Milwaukee on the left-hand side of your screen, or would you rather be right here in Phoenix? Okay, the reason we're talking about cold is because this next top story I have for you is about helping pets who are left in the cold.
Animal control. The bitter cold has kept Louisville Metro animal control officers busy.
If you have a pet that's outside, your neighbor's probably going to call us, and we're going to come and knock on your door.
The puppy needs to be kept inside. He's just too young.
LMAS is getting nearly 5 times their usual call volume, and officers are working hundreds of runs.
Hi, we've gotten a complaint about your dogs being left outside without proper shelter.
They follow up on every single animal.
We're not going home until we make all the calls. I brought in extra staffing.
This dog was found illegally chained to a tree with a padlock around her neck. Neighbors said she was outside for 3 days. She was still shivering when animal control officers brought her back to the shelter.
If we would have left her overnight, she probably would have froze to death.
In this case, officers likely saved this dog's life. But in other cases, their hands are tied. LMAS recommends bringing pets inside, but the law says animals can be outdoors with proper shelter, food, and water.
We get a lot of runs where we go out there and we investigate, and they're within the scope of the law.
Officers are giving out straw to keep shelters insulated, and people in dire need will be given a new doghouse from LMAS.
This is a case that he needed one, he needed some help, so we're going to help him out.
There's the 4 Ps when it's cold. I learned it when I very first started reporting, and I lived in Texas for 5 years as a news reporter in Beaumont, El Paso, San Antonio. The 4 Ps when it comes to cold. You've got to worry about people, so homeless and the elderly. You have to worry about pets, just like that top story, Thursday, sort of related. Good thing that dog is A-OK. You have to worry about people, pets, pipes. You got to cover up your pipes so that they don't freeze and burst open or crack. People, pets, pipes, and plants is the 4th P. You got to cover up those plants too so they don't freeze over and die. 4 Ps when it gets cold. I fortunately have never lived in that cold of a climate as we've been witnessing here with the polar vortex sweeping across the Midwest. But if you are there and you're watching, we're happy you're here. We hope that you are warm and safe. And one story I did see yesterday in relation to the polar vortex is how pizza delivery companies, the ones choosing to stay open, they are just completely overwhelmed and busy right now due to all the people, hunkered down at home, and you still got to eat, right? You need that food. So pizza delivery companies very, very busy right now. All right, we're going to take you out to California for these next 2 top stories. The first one is about how hundreds participated in a readiness drill at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Flashbangs and smoke filled the air at the Otay Mesa border crossing. All car and pedestrian traffic came to a halt as a sea of officers and military personnel took their positions for Wednesday evening's readiness exercise.
Everybody is looking at each other, and if we go forward or we go back.
The holdup caused some confusion among people trying to cross, but overall there were minimal delays. The vast majority of those practicing to protect the border were outfitted in full riot gear and took part in different drills should there be a real emergency. We've seen similar drills take place a handful of times since this past fall, when an incoming caravan of Central American migrants led the White House to send additional troops to beef up security along the southwest border. The San Ysidro port of entry experienced an exercise on Thanksgiving Day, less than a week after a contentious moment at the border where agents fired tear gas at migrants attempting to cross illegally. A month later, CBP conducted an exercise at Otay Mesa where officers practiced with fake tear gas. And in December, there was also a readiness exercise at the Tecate port of entry, and the second week of January, yet another was held at the San Ysidro port. CBP says the drills are in place to assess the capabilities of their facilities, ensuring safe trade and travel along our border.
I gotta ask, question time. I like to ask in the chat all the time, but for once I'll do it right now. What did you all do for lunch? It's currently 12:25 well, right now. I was gonna say a couple seconds, but it just turned 12:25. Feel free to let me know what you have had for lunch or what you are gonna have for lunch. We like to engage in dialogue and discussion. So there's 795 of you currently watching, right? I know not each and every one of you is chatting with us on the YouTube chat. Feel free to hop on over and start talking to us. Let's get to know each other a little bit better. News nowers, right? Okay, so this next top story I have for you. Shutdown is over for now. We're all waiting until February 15th to see what happens the day after Valentine's Day. Meanwhile, we're still feeling the effects, the impacts. So this one has to do with craft breweries. Let's get the details.
The federal agency that regulates craft breweries has a major paperwork pileup after their employees were out of the office for 35 days during the partial government shutdown. The Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, TTB, regulates new breweries and their new brews. About 11,000 applications for alcohol labels have been put on hold, leaving craft breweries waiting to ship and sell their beer across state lines in limbo.
Beechwood Brewing, it's a collaboration that we're doing with Beechwood Brewing, and this beer we can send anywhere in California without the TTB's approval, but we plan to go nationwide with it. And now we don't have that label approved, and we're kind of under the gun waiting to make this beer. We bought the materials to make this beer for the national release, but we don't know if we're going to have the national release. It's kind of a period of doubt.
Craft beer is a $76.2 billion industry. Senator Michael Bennet from Colorado, whose state is home to over 400 breweries, says the shutdown is costing businesses in his state thousands of dollars while they wait for things like labels on new beer to be approved or expansion plans. To get the go-ahead, some breweries say new beers that have already been made could spoil before the TTB gets through the paperwork. Stone Brewing CEO Dominic Ingalls tells us the industry is built on seasonal beers, which means any stall in the supply chain can have ripple effects industry-wide. He tells me beer lovers will feel it most at the grocery store. You may not be able to find your favorite seasonal brew on the shelf if the TTB doesn't process approvals fast enough. In Escondido, California, Hillary Vaughn, Fox Business.
All right, when you think of shutdown impacts, do you think elephant seals? Do you think beach? Yeah, we're taking you out to San Fran for this next top story.
Here, amid the natural beauty of the Point Reyes National Seashore, this colony of elephant seals appears to have found heaven on earth, right smack in the middle of popular Drake's Beach. They came here after this month's rainstorms and during the government shutdown. With no pesky park rangers to shoo them away by waving tarps at them, the seals made themselves at home.
But when you get these storms and these storm surges, the seals will displace looking for better habitat. And so they came up to Drake's Beach. We had closed that beach during the shutdown due to flooding. It was dangerous for the public to go down there, so it was just a perfect timing for everything.
The seals even knocked down a fence near the parking lot in the process. The females have been giving birth to pups and nursing them here.
We have about 40 pups on the beach and probably 50 adults,
including a handful of big bulls. The seals have gotten so comfortable here, the National Park Service has closed the beach to the public and the road leading to it for now. But the Park Service says it's planning on opening the road and beach parking lot to the public this weekend only so people can see the seals. Depending on how that goes, it could be open beyond Sunday.
and we're going to have a lot of park rangers and docents down there, volunteer docents. So we'll be able to bring people close to the edge of the parking lot and the edge of the beach to witness this incredible sight that's there, but we're still not going to let people onto the beach.
As you walk up to where you can see the elephant seals, there is something that's hard to ignore: the smell. It's kind of a combination of ripe seaweed and stale gym socks, but you get used to it. The seals will likely stay here until spring. Marine wildlife experts say seals often like to return to familiar areas, so these beachcombers just may make a return appearance next winter. At Point Reyes National Seashore, Rob Roth, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, that seal story getting a lot of you talking. And remember, I do pay attention when I ask you questions. When I say I like to get to know you better, I mean it. And when I asked what everyone's doing for lunch, it turns out I saw bacon time and time again show up on the chat. I saw tuna fish too, and I saw like hot dogs and other things too. So thanks for sharing. Really appreciate it. If you had to take a guess as to who is going to be reporting on this next top story I have for you, or what the subject matter is going to be, do you think you would know? It's a story that I enjoy playing every single day just to kind of get up to speed with what some companies are doing across the U.S.
Ghirardelli and Russell Stover are being forced to pay up. The chocolate makers must now pay a $750,000 fine for misleading consumers. Prosecutors in California say the companies were selling chocolate products in containers that were either too big or mostly empty. The companies don't admit to any wrongdoing, but will shrink their packages from now on and even have clear tops, so you can take a look and see if you're getting what you're paying for. And the effects of this frigid weather are widespread. Milwaukee was so cold on Wednesday that beer couldn't be delivered. Beer distributors didn't want their drivers out, and in extreme cold, beer cans and bottles can explode. And General Motors has suspended vehicle production at several Michigan plants after a request from Consumers Energy. The gas and electric utility is dealing with high energy demand during the coldest weather mid-Michigan has seen in 25 years. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York,